This little lesson's about rings and what rings go on what finger and what it means and what it does and what it brings into somebody's life as a result of adding more weight to a finger. And each finger represents a planet. In this case here, you see the ring is on Saturn, and same here, which is the middle finger. And you see this a lot more in this period of time. Saturn represents, first of all, the middle finger, and people born at the end of December or in January are Capricorn people, as well as people born in late January, like January 19th through February, which is Aquarius. So the middle finger is Saturn, and you saw the ring on the middle finger of people. That's what I first pointed out. And it also has to do with people with an H or Q or Z. Sometimes you find these prominent letters in a name because they're kind of a little bit of odd letters, as compared to some of the vowel letters and things like that. And of course, it's the eighth letter of the alphabet, the 17th and the 26th. And it has to do with money and education. Saturn has a little to do with solitude, and it also has to do with meetings and appointments. Here's your solitude. And positive Saturn, which is the end of December through January, really likes a lot more solitude than the February or Aquarius, which is the negative Saturn. When we say negative and positive, we're not talking about good and bad in this case. We're talking about when somebody's more leans more towards the heaviness of Saturn and less towards the heaviness of Saturn, but in both cases, they're Saturn tendencies. When you put a ring on Saturn, you draw people who are born at the end of December and January to February or Aquarius, and the people born on those 3 dates, as well as these 3 letters in a name, it could be any place in one of their names, into somebody's life. But it also tries to give somebody more dominance and control over their money, education, and a little bit of solitude. If you remember the lesson in palmistry, a ring of Saturn around the middle finger brought more solitude to people, and they were more cloistered. So the same with a ring, there's a tendency of somebody being more cloistered. Now, in this case over here, you have a ring around Jupiter and Saturn together. Now, Jupiter is your index finger, as you see right here, and it has to do with December or Sagittarius people born at the end of November, from about November 19th through December, and March or Pisces, people born at the end of February or in March. And it has to do with power and authority and control and dominance over other people. And it also has to do with people born on the 3rd, 12th, 21st, or 30th of any month. And the 3rd letter of the alphabet is C, the 12th letter is L, and the 21st letter is U, and of course there's no 30th letter. But you would find the initial C or L, and perhaps somebody with a U in their name, as a lot of names don't have a U. But it gives somebody the tendency to have more power and authority over other people. And sometimes it gets in education too. As I said, the ring of Solomon goes around the mount of Jupiter, and this is the Jupiter finger, and it gives somebody wisdom and more control over things. In the case of Napoleon, he went too far. It was power crazy. So what you're dealing with here, if somebody puts a ring, it also tends to draw Jupiter people into your life. Again, December, Sagittarius, March or Pisces, C, L, or U, the 3rd, 12th, 21st, or 30th of any month. Remember, those days in a month, 1 through 31, has to do with just the day, and it could be any month. Now, if they put a ring on their thumb, The top phalanx of the thumb is willpower, and the last one is logic, and the third small one, which is almost a crease on most hands, has to do with communication. But how you communicate depends on your logic and your willpower anyway. But when somebody puts a ring on their thumb, what they're trying to do is gain more control and willpower over their life. They may want to stop smoking or diet, or they may want to stop some activity or gain more control or think before they do things, this kind of thing. So the ring, when you see this combination of rings on Jupiter, the index finger, and Saturn, the middle finger, you see that the person is trying to back off a little from people, being more control and authority, and that they're trying to be a little bit more cloistered, and they may be resolving a financial matter, but this would tend to draw more Jupiterians or Saturnians into their life. And you see this combination worn a lot of times with people. You have to notice, though, this Jupiter and Saturn combination. And then you have your normal, what they call wedding band, which is one on the sun finger. Now, the normal position for the wedding band or ring is on the Apollo finger, which is what we call the ring finger, which is right next to Saturn, the other side of Jupiter. And that has to do with people born on the 1st, 10th, 19th, or 28th day of any month. And it has to do with the first house of the sun, which is August or Leo, people born at the end of July and August. And the second house, as I say, is February or Aquarius. And it has to do with people with an A, J, or S initial, born on the 1st, 10th, 19th, or 28th day of any month. And when you put a ring, a heavy ring on the Apollo or the ring finger, it draws sun people into your life. That's why people try to have an expensive engagement ring, wedding ring, whatever, on the Apollo finger, because they want to draw more sunlight and luck into their life. Apollo has a lot to do with sunshine in your life, just like the sun line in palmistry adds fruit and light to the life. It backs up the fate line, and it draws money and influence in somebody's life. So when somebody puts an expensive wedding ring on, they're psychologically trying to increase their luck. Now, the next position, because the ring finger is a normal finger for what we consider normal or usual. I mean, somebody could wear a ring on their pinky, their index finger, their Saturn finger, or their thumb, but the usual is the Apollo finger, so I didn't particularly write it down. And the next is Mercury, which is the pinky. And when somebody wears a pinky ring, it has to do with change. They want change in their life and travel, and it increases communication. And the person usually has a lot of juggling to do. It draws June or Gemini people, as well as September or Virgo people. So people born at the end of May or any place in June, the end of August or in September, people born on the 5th, 14th, or 23rd day of any one of our 12 months, and people with an E, N, or W. Now, sometimes a W could be the name Bill. They might call themselves Bill, but they're also William. So I just wanted to add that note. But the Mercury finger, when you see a ring there, the person, it's also considered a very big business finger in communication. And it was an old thing, if somebody has a twisted pinky, people felt they were a little shady or oily or crooked if they had a distorted Mercury finger. I'm not talking about a health situation. I'm talking about a normal-looking hand, somewhat, but a finger that looked a little twisted. They felt that they were dealing with somebody that was a little oily. So if you add a ring to Mercury, you add communication, you add change, you add traveling, and you can draw June or Gemini or September or Virgo. So if somebody wanted to bring somebody into their life and get closer, put the ring on the right finger, and if it's a heavy ring, you'll start influencing the person you want a little bit more than you had in the past. But this is a lesson on rings and the fingers and the planets and who you may influence. Because believe me, this works. You put a ring on a finger, and all of a sudden people with those propensities will be circling you.